98 FM's 10K payday.
Oh, they were very cheeky today. Ha ha! 10 to 8 this morning. Rebecca and Brendan played a song, and then within the hour they played it again. As a result of which, Ben Hunter from Skerries won €1,000. How do you do it? How do you win €1,000? Well, it's very simple. 98 FM's 10K payday is here, and we guarantee to pay out €1,000 every single day. And winning is very, very easy. Every morning, as I said, at 10 to 8, Rebecca and Brendan play a song, and we promise that we will play that song here at 98 FM again during the day. You just have to listen out for it. And when we play it again, you text payday and your details to 0877 98 98 98. So today's winner has already won. Make sure you're listening at 10 to 8 tomorrow morning to 98 FM's Big Breakfast with Rebecca and Brendan to hear tomorrow's song, and then stay listening until it's played again. It couldn't be simpler. 98 FM's 10K payday.
98 FM's 10K payday. 98 FM's
Dublin Talks.
Call 6797 981.
And good morning from Adrian Kennedy. Now, our Katie arrived into the office earlier on today in a Fowler. Oh, she was in a Fowler. And I thought, oh my God, she's after having a crash or something really bad has happened. But no, it was a little less important than that. She arrived in a Fowler because somebody had committed her pet peeve. And her pet peeve, we found out this morning, was that she's walking along a narrow pathway outside our office here, and the person walking in front of her was walking really slowly because they were texting or doing something on their phone. And that's her pet peeve. People who aren't concentrating on where they're walking and walk really slowly because they're texting or doing whatever it is they're doing on their phone. And it got us to thinking about pet peeves. We all have little pet peeves. My pet peeve, and it's a particular pet peeve at this moment in time, and that is people who don't cover their mouths when they cough, or don't cough into their elbow, as we've been asked to do in this day and age. And I only saw it yesterday in a supermarket with no face mask on. A guy just coughed all over the shop. It's my pet peeve, and it's a particular pet peeve at this moment in time. We all have a little pet peeve, a little thing that just bugs us. And I want you to send yours to me right now to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Another pet peeve of mine is signs that are spelt incorrectly. For example, there's a road sign near a pub near where I live, and it says, lift your right foot. Such and such a place is in 100 yards. But the sign actually says, lift your right foot. Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. So it says, lift your right foot. And it bugs me every time I see it. Somebody firstly designed the sign wrongly and then hung the sign up without ever noticing that the sign actually says, lift your right foot. So incorrectly spelt signs is my pet peeve. I want you to send me your pet peeve to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Send me a WhatsApp voice note right now with your pet peeve, like Graham just did.
Good morning, Adrian. Graham here. I'm a van driver, I deliver fruit and veg, and the one thing that bugs me is people parking in cars in a loading bay and then you're left with no spot to load and unload.
I'd say that is a pet peeve, Graham. And people think they have the God-given right to park in loading bays, but loading bays are there for a reason. It's to let Graham park and unload and load his van. Send me your pet peeve, that little thing that just irritates you. To 0877 98 98 98. Steph, tell me about your pet peeve.
Good morning. Basically, it's anyone who has the balls to pick their nose in public. It's just, there's nothing worse.
There is nothing worse.
It's just bad manners, it's bad etiquette, it's just rude.
I was on I haven't been on many buses since March, but I was on one last week, yeah? And I'm sitting down the very back of the bus, and in front of me is a man who went to the trouble of taking off his face mask to pick his nose.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Same thing happened this morning with me on the loose with my son. Some woman, and I mean, she was just having the best route ever, and I can no longer, it's so bad that I now heave when I see it. So I think she's seen me heave under my mask, and all of a sudden jumped to the conclusion I must have COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was giving me dirty looks for heaving at her picking her nose.
So she didn't even notice that she was picking her nose.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's the gas
gross.
thing, yeah. All right, people who have the balls to pick their nose in public. Yeah, I can understand how that's your pet peeve, Steph. Babs sent me this WhatsApp voice note with her pet peeve.
My pet hate is when my kids put the cardboard roll from the toilet roll on the holder and put a new toilet roll on top of it without throwing the other one in a bin. It drives me nuts.
Yes, I can see why that would drive you nuts, Babs. Keep them coming in. Send me a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. That one little thing that just drives you insane. Here's another one of mine. When you go to the trouble of letting a car cut in front of you, so you're letting them in from a side road or whatever, and the ignoramus doesn't bother their arse to wave at you and just say, thanks. I can see why that's one of my pet peeves. They just ignore you as if it's your duty to let them out, and they don't acknowledge you. Very, very, very annoying. This listener has a pet peeve.
Adrian, people using the word staycation does me brain in.
It's become the word of the year, hasn't it? Because we don't have any choice this year. We can't vacation, so we have to staycation. Now, I have to say I have used the word myself, only because it actually really accurately describes the type of holiday we're having this year. Now, Derek, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Derek?
How are you doing?
Derek, what is your pet peeve?
I'm a distance runner, and I run on the footpaths, and we have people pulling their cars into driveways and the car is sticking out and blocking the footpath with no consideration for the people using the footpath whatsoever.
Yeah, as if they own the footpath, which they don't.
Fully block up the path, and I every time I'm out, I see it, and I find it very inconsiderate. Biggest pet hate.
I can see why that'd be a pet hate, and it's particularly inconsiderate towards parents wheeling prams, towards people using wheelchairs, and to people who are blind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's obnoxious, actually, now that you say it. All right, come on. I can see why that's a pet peeve as well. What is your pet peeve? Send me a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Or better still, call me and talk to me directly on 6797 981. James, you're on 98 FM. How are you, James?
How are you, Adrian?
James, what is your pet peeve?
People not wearing masks in the shop.
It's become one of mine as well, I have to be honest.
I'm standing there and in the deli in the queue, and there's 12 people, and there's one person not wearing a mask.
And they're in every shop. Now, I know some people do have reasons in some cases for not being able to wear a mask, and I get that. But the people that I see, bloody well, they don't have a reason for not wearing a mask.
The mask is hanging out of the back pocket.
Yeah, they're just being rude. And it's gone to the stage that you do stand out like a sore thumb now in a shop without a mask on.
People give you dirty looks.
Yeah. And rightly so. We're meant to be all in this together, aren't we? So let's all lash on the mask. All right, James, that's his pet peeve. What is yours? Well, this is Darren.
You know what really, really bothers me? Do you know when you go to a deli and you ask for a small bit of coleslaw and like they put half a bleeding jar of mayonnaise and coleslaw on it? What's up with that? Small bit, small amount. Not loads, not big amount.
Yeah, okay, Darren, thank you. Samantha, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Samantha. Hello, Samantha. Oh, no, I don't have Samantha there. Hang on. I'll just press this button there and then this button there. And now I have Samantha. How are you, Samantha?
Good, hello.
Now, Samantha, tell me your pet peeve.
It's when someone, you know, you have an extension on the house that you built and the windows don't match. They're not in line with each other. It annoys me so much.
Yeah.
Why?
I actually saw a house like that recently, and it had lovely new, the extension had lovely new modern kind of grey windows, and it just didn't match the rest of the house. Even when I'm walking to work or when they're just not in line with each other, do you know, like safety built, like something onto the side of it, and then the two windows are matching and one's like below or above it, and I'm like, why couldn't you just put it in line with each other? Is that a bad builder or a bad designer?
Just annoying.
It is a bit aggravating. Yeah, I can.
I'm like, and there's so many houses with it, so I always wonder, like, why wouldn't they just align it?
Yeah, but I always wonder, like, what was the builder thinking? Why couldn't he get his act together? Like, seriously.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, Samantha. Thank you. That's her pet peeve. This is Frank's pet peeve.
Hey, Adrian, it's Frank here. We have two particular pet peeves. My first one is when I go to the shopping centre with my wife and my baby and somebody parks in, you know, the family parking spots and they don't even have a family with them. That really gets up my wick. And then my second pet peeve is when you're driving down the road and the car in front of you keeps tapping their brakes even though there's nobody in front of them. It drives me mad.
That drives me mad as well, actually, Frank. Like, what? Get your foot off the brake, for God's sake. There's no need to have your foot on the brake. Drive at the right speed and then you won't have to go near the brake. Yes, I can see why that's a pet peeve as well. John, you're on 98 FM. How are you, John?
How are you, Adrian?
John, yours is also driving related, is it?
It is driving related, and there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people doing this, even as I speak, driving down the M50 and staying in the middle lane. You have to learn that the middle lane is for overtaking, it's not just for cruising. And it always annoys me.
People who hog the outside lane on a two-lane motorway and just...
Well, that's it.
Yeah, just sit there.
Yeah, especially when the left-hand lane is completely empty for kilometres ahead. You know, it makes it more difficult to manoeuvre because it means that if you want to overtake, you've got to pass it across two lanes. You've got to go from the left lane, the middle lane, out to the right lane to get past them. You know, it's very, very silly.
Now, I have to hold my hands up and admit that I did do that, right, on the motorway to Cork a couple of years ago. And believe it or not, I was actually pulled in by a guard because I was in the outside lane of the motorway. So you can be given out to. You can you get penalty points for it? I don't know if you can get penalty points for it. But the guard pulled me in and he gave me a right talking to for being in the outside lane. So hands up. But I've learned and I don't do it anymore. So there.
And the guard was right, and I wish the guards would do it a bit more often. So all those people on the M50 driving down now, if you're in the middle lane, move over, go to the left-hand lane.
All right, John, thanks very much indeed. Nadine, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Nadine.
Morning, Adrian. How's things?
Great, thanks, Nadine. Now, what is your pet peeve?
My pet peeve is people parking in cycle lanes.
People parking in cycle lanes?
Yeah.
Now,
it's quite common around my area.
Okay.
Because there isn't actually a lot, like I say, like a lot of room for people to park in a driveway because their driveway might be quite short.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's kind of parking on the side of the road. But on the side of the road is the bus lane and the cycle lane.
Yeah.
And trying to manoeuvre around all the cars is very scary, particularly when there's a big bus behind you.
I have to say, I love seeing all the new cycle lanes that are fenced off. You know, with the markers at the side.
Yeah, there's one at the junction for Clontarf Road, and it's brilliant when you're turning up left because you're always terrified of all the big buses and trucks coming that way.
Yeah, no, it is one of the upsides of the whole COVID thing that proper cycle lanes are being put in place and they're sealed off from the road, which is great. Anyway, I can see why that's a pet peeve. Thank you. Karen sent me this.
Right, well, I absolutely hate litter, hate it. But my biggest pet peeve is when people clean up after their dogs. They pick up the poop, leave it in a bag because people are watching, and then as soon as people aren't watching, they drop the bag of poop, and there's just bags of poop everywhere. And as well as that now, masks and gloves, people wear them and they just throw them thinking, oh, they could have COVID on them, I'll leave them there for somebody else to pick up. Hate it.
Actually, it's become a new litter, horrible type of litter. That's people literally, and I saw it again only last week on my holidays, somebody walking out of the shop, taking off their face mask and just dropping it on the ground. And you see them all over the place now. It's become actually very, very annoying. Aaron has a pet peeve.
Adrian, Aaron here. My pet peeve is when somebody chews with their mouth open or slurps their tea.
Tea slurping. So annoying. Siobhan, what is your pet peeve?
Hi Adrian, when you're in a shop or in a bank and there's someone at the counter on their phone having a full-scale conversation. It's the height of rudeness.
It is just, it's not even rude, it's ignorance. It's just obnoxious.
Yeah.
And I walked into a shop yesterday and I was on the phone to somebody and I said to them straight away, I'll ring you back, I'm in a shop.
Yeah.
And it's so simple to do. There's no need for it at all. And in fact, I was in a shop recently. Did I take a photograph of it? I might have. And it says at the till, you will not be served if you're on a phone call.
Imagine having to do that.
Yeah, imagine having to do that.
Tell
Yeah.
people. Well, like I work in a pharmacy, and I'd often be giving people information on the medication they're going to be taking, and on the phone.
And not even paying any attention to you.
No. So I just say to them, "I'll talk to you when you're finished," and I walk away.
Yeah,
and I leave them there. Let them finish the phone call.
You're dead right. You're dead right. Yep, that's a pet peeve of a lot of people. Paul, what's your pet peeve?
Morning, Adrian. How's things?
Good, thanks, Paul.
Good. I am a van driver as well as that fella earlier on. Yet the loading bays is an issue, but there's a cycle lane on the L11, but yet people on push bikes decide to use the L11 instead of using the cycle lane.
And like I said, the cycle lanes are, in a lot of cases, are being sealed off from the road with all these kind of markings, and still you get cyclists not using them.
You do. They're in and out. They're up and down. They're trying to avoid shores and potholes and everything else, and they're nearly out in front of you, and you have to avoid them, and, it's just ridiculous. Like, the cycle lane is there for a reason, like, it's not there just for show, like, it's madness.
Yep, if the cycle lane is there, please use it. That's the message. Thank you, Paul. A couple more. Susan, what's your pet peeve?
Hi, how's it going?
Good, thank you.
Absolutely drives me mad when cars going around the roundabout decide to go from one lane to the other without indicating. Just pull out in front of you. So they start off in one lane to go around the roundabout. They decide, I need to be in that lane, they go into it, and then they exit off the lane that they came off.
And it means they don't know how to use their indicators, they don't know how to use their mirrors, because they're not even aware that there's somebody behind them. In fact, I think, generally speaking, Irish people are rubbish at using roundabouts.
Unreal.
Yeah. I think it's just a problem that Irish people have in general. Thank you, Susan. Catherine, what's your pet peeve?
My pet peeve is when people park in front of my garden, and then when I ask them to move so I can go pick my son up from school, they start fighting with me.
They start fighting with you?
Yeah, I've had arguments with people because I've asked them to move. I live across the road from a doctor's surgery, so I get people parking kind of halfway. Once I can get out, I don't like to say anything because, it's a doctor's surgery, so I don't like to upset people. But I had a guy fight with me last week because I was trying to get into my garden, and there was another chap kind of parked halfway across the garden, but he was putting a wheelchair into his car, so I didn't say anything. I just let him. But the other guy was coming up towards me, and I was kind of blocking the road, and he started giving out to me that I was blocking the road. But I had my indicator on to say I was going into my garden and all the rest, but I didn't say anything. I just let it go. But it's not particularly very nice.
It's the height of ignorance to park in front of somebody's driveway. Like, really?
Yeah, but I try to be understanding, because I think at the moment for doctor's surgeries people can't go in, so they're picking up prescriptions and they're they're just literally for a couple of minutes. So unless I have to leave, I just let it go. But if I have to pick my son up from school,
You have to pick your son up from school. Yeah, you can't wait. Yeah. All right,
Yeah,
I can see how that's very annoying. This lady works in a deli.
Well, I work in a deli, and I don't like when people ask for butter and turkey. It's butter and turkey.
Yes. Well, you put some butter on it, and I'll have turkey. John.
Adrian, good morning. The reason my son windows aren't in line at the back of a house is because it could be a bathroom, and a bathroom window sill has to be higher than a normal bedroom window, because in case the toilet sits underneath it. My pet peeve is people don't indicate when they're turning on the road. It annoys the shit out of me.
All right, Mandy sent me this.
Hi, my pet peeve is people not using indicators. Just drives me insane. It's Mandy here from Salbridge.
Got to be a amount of people annoyed over indicators. And finally, this is from Karen.
Adrian, my ultimate pet peeve is people not using the correct stairs. The wrong, T-H-E-R-E or T-H-E-I or E-Y apostrophe R-E. It does my head in.
Well, I've already told you about the sign on the old N2 coming towards a pub, and it says, lift your right foot. It should be Y-O-U-R, and they have written Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. Lift your right foot. Bugs the hell out of me every time I see it. Finally, somebody else who hates loud chewers.
My pet peeve is loud chewers. It absolutely fills me with rage. I can't describe it. It's the worst sound.
It is. It's disgusting, actually. Thank you. They were brilliant. I enjoyed all your pet peeves. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. I'm Adrian Kennedy, and we are here until midday today. Now, after the break, I want to get your opinion. The eyes of the nation are on this city that we live in here in Dublin. Because yesterday, out of a shocking 307 new cases of COVID-19 reported yesterday, the highest number since May, the majority of them, 182 of the cases, over half, were here in Dublin. And that prompted the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Ronan Glynn, to express concern over the rising number of cases in the capital. And the amount of people that I've heard over the last couple of days saying, just lock down Dublin and let the rest of the country get on with life. Is it that simple? That's what we're going to find out in just a moment. And I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text, you can WhatsApp, or you can send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. I want to find out what action you think should be taken in order to bring the numbers of COVID-19 cases back down again. We were down to nearly zero at one stage, and now it's shocking. 182 cases in Dublin alone yesterday. What sort of measures would you like to see being taken to bring those numbers back down? Call me on 6797 981. I want to find out if you're worried about the rise in cases. I have to say I am a bit, because I worry about what might happen or might have to happen in order to get the numbers back down again. 6797 981 will get you straight through.
The sound of the city, from Drumcondra to Dorky. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
So yesterday, as many of you will know at this stage, a total of 307 new cases of COVID-19 were reported, the highest daily rate since May. And we know over the last number of weeks, case numbers have been over the 100 mark. But what has been more startling for us here in Dublin is that the majority of the cases now are here in Dublin. Over half of the cases reported yesterday were here in the capital. Now, there's been all sorts of talk about what needs to be done in order to bring those numbers back down again. Do we have a lockdown of Dublin? Do we close back down the pubs and restaurants? What would you like to see being done? Do we make it illegal for people to visit each other's houses? What sorts of efforts or restrictions would you like to see being put in place in order to deal with this rise in cases of COVID-19? Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note from Jason.
Morning, Adrian. No, I'm not scared, because if you put it into context, there's over 1 million people in Dublin and only 130 cases. That's nothing. We've had no deaths in 14, 15 days now, probably even more, I think. So no, I'm not worried at all. I think the only thing we're going to do is destroy the city, and as I'm going to keep saying it, you want to bring it up, Adrian, the suicide rates are just going up through the roof. Hope you bring that up someday. Thanks. Good show.
All right, and we have actually dealt with the mental health impact of this whole thing on a number of occasions, actually, Jason. But one thing to note, I know you say there hasn't been any deaths in a number of weeks. There was one reported death yesterday for the first time in a number of weeks, but there was one extra death noted yesterday. Mark sent me this message about what he is asking us to do.
Hey Adrian, great show. Yeah, regarding the numbers, 307 yesterday. I work on the front line, and we were warned back in start of August that the cases would rise, and they're going to go higher again. 307 yesterday. We're going to be looking at least 500 by the end of the month. So we're all in place. We have plans in place. The hospitals are starting to fill up now, and people need to just need to abide by the guidelines. With the pubs opening, it's going to go up again, and that's just natural. The schools, the pubs, I have even one of my own kids is off sick at the moment. So the case is going to go up and up and up, and come the winter, it's going to be chaos. Cheers, mate. Thanks very much. Great show.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. I'd like to hear from you on 6797981. Maybe those case numbers yesterday don't cause you any alarm at all. Maybe you think we just need to get on and get about our business and forget about this thing. Because I'm looking at some of the messages coming in, and already people are saying, no, we need to just get on with life and deal with this virus. That's all well and good saying that at this very moment when the death rate is very, very low. I think we have the lowest death rate in the whole of Europe at this moment in time. Up until yesterday, we had 0 cases over a 2-week period. And hopefully that will continue, but it may not. Let's find out what can and should be done about this. I'm joined on the line by Professor Anthony Staines of the DCU School of Nursing, Psychotherapy and Community Health. Professor Staines, good morning and welcome to the programme. And let me ask you firstly, those cases yesterday, 307 reported cases, 182 in Dublin. Does that make you a little pessimistic?
No, they're obviously concerning, and we need to do something about them. The number of cases has been rising fairly steadily over the last couple of weeks, and there's a clear view, I think, from NEFIT and others that this has to stop. We have to take action to bring the case numbers down, and I absolutely agree with that. And some of that is down to what each of us does. So some of it is down to social distancing, that's really important. Wearing masks, hand washing, not going into crowded places with large numbers of other people, not mixing with too many people from other households. Some of it's down to the health service. We're still not doing enough testing. That's improving. There's a lot of effort going into improving it, but there's a ways to go yet. And some of it's down to the government. So we are expecting a plan, I think, on the 13th of September as to what we're going to do over the next 6 to 9 months. We're all hopeful that a vaccine will be available towards the middle of next year. But there has been some concern because AstraZeneca have actually stopped their trial today. Now, they stopped their trial for a very good reason, because somebody in the trial has fallen ill, and it may be nothing to do with the vaccine. These are trials of many thousands of people, and in that situation, some people will fall ill. But AstraZeneca are doing the responsible thing. They're doing the right thing to make sure the vaccine is safe. And it does mean that we won't know if we have a safe vaccine till the middle of next year. So we have at least another 10 months of things as they are to get through. We want a government plan for that.
Okay, now, obviously, the figures yesterday with 307 cases nationally, 182 of which were in Dublin, has led people to start thinking about what's going to happen and what sort of restrictions might be put in place and, God forbid, another lockdown.
The first thing to say is I don't think a lockdown would be constructive. A lockdown was an emergency response to a pretty dire situation we had back in March. We're past that. Our take on it is we should have a national strategy, probably working at county level to start with, and then maybe going below county level as time goes on. And it needs to be applied across the whole country with measures that are relevant for the area. We've already seen local lockdowns in Kildare, Laois and Offaly, and that really hasn't dealt with the root of the problem. The high rate of virus has just moved somewhere else. So this is something we need to do across the whole country. We need targeted local measures that suit local needs and requirements.
Okay, but looking specifically at Dublin, what sorts of local restrictions could be put in place in Dublin, which accounts for a third of the economy of Ireland?
I think the local restrictions will be driven by priorities, and the priorities are recovering the economy and keeping schools going and maintaining public health. And I'm afraid a very likely outcome of all that, and I say this with a very heavy heart, is that pubs and restaurants will be closed or severely restricted again, regardless of whether they serve food or not. But at least it'll be fairer than the previous model, because the previous model, pubs that didn't serve food were treated much more harshly than those that did. But I think that's a definite possibility. There's been talk about restricting the number of people in houses, and certainly there have been episodes of transmission in houses. NPHET have information about exactly how cases are spreading, which is not publicly available. So I'm assuming they will look at that information on Thursday and come out with some very concrete recommendations based on the evidence of what's actually happening. But I think this should be done across the whole country with appropriate adjustment for local requirements. So in places where there's very little virus, perhaps nothing should change. In places that there's a lot of virus, like Dublin at the moment, things should change more.
So in realistic terms, you can see in Dublin pubs being restricted again, despite the fact that the wet pubs are due to open on the 21st. You see that being rowed back on?
I can see it happening. I think it will happen very reluctantly, but it may be necessary, because part of what's happening here is our economy is being damaged, not so much by what we do in response to the virus, but by the virus itself. And if you look at the German figures, for example, where the level of restriction has been substantially less than it is here, that comes out very, very clearly. So if there's virus rising in Dublin, the economy in Dublin is going to be severely hit. And it's up to us all and to the government to take the relevant steps to reduce the virus in Dublin. Now, my colleagues and I are arguing that we should reduce it and then get it to zero. But no one's arguing that we shouldn't reduce it. There's universal agreement on that. And that's how we get back our economic recovery. We bring the virus down, the economy will start to come back. If we don't bring it down, the economy won't start to come back. And that's just the way things are. And the faster we bring it down, the faster the economy will come back.
Okay, so basically the message over the next couple of weeks is going to be, it's up to you and me and all of us to do whatever we can to stop this virus spreading.
Yes, but the health service has a role as well. It's not just individuals. The government has a role, the health service has a role, but we all have to do our bit towards it.
And your advice to people listening to us right now on doing your bit is?
Wear a mask. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Socially distance as far as you can. Don't go into crowded places. If you go out to a pub tonight and you think that looks a bit crowded, wave politely and go to a different one. You know, it is actually as simple as that. This virus spreads indoors, in crowds, in poorly ventilated areas. And that really is the bottom line. And as we move towards, the cheery, bright Irish winter, we're going to be spending more time indoors. And we have to make that as safe as possible for everybody.
Okay, so in order to avoid any draconian measures being implemented here in Dublin, we all need to take action to get this virus back down again.
Yes, and we need to take action today. Not wait for an effort, with the greatest respect and effort. But we need to take action today.
All right, Professor Anthony Staines, thank you very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM.
Thanks very much.
And I'd like to hear from you on 6797981. You can text, you can WhatsApp, or you can send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. As I said, the eyes of the nation are on us here in Dublin because we are accounting for more than half of the latest cases of COVID-19. There were 307 new cases announced yesterday, 182 of which were in Dublin, which is over half. I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981.
The sound of the city, from Kilbarrack to Kiltiernan. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text, you can WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. The cases of COVID-19 are continuing to rise, and yesterday we saw the highest number of daily cases since May. 307 new cases reported yesterday, 182 of which were in Dublin. And I want to find out from you what you would like to see being done. When we were having a similar conversation back in March, the majority of people were saying at that time we need to lock the country down. And that's eventually what happened. And we did shut the country down. Everybody stayed at home and the virus decreased. And we were down to nearly 0 cases. We started opening up the country again, which we had to do. And cases have increased quite dramatically in the last couple of weeks. And in fact, news just coming into us that the latest figures show that 2,018 virus outbreaks have been reported in private homes. Now, what they've done in Glasgow is they have restricted the amount of numbers by law that you can have in your house. So no more house parties. You can't invite 10 people around. You can invite 6. Because the amount of outbreaks that have happened in private houses is what is spurring the current increase. So what would you like to see being done? Fiona, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Fiona.
Hi, Adrian.
Now, Fiona, you live in Kildare, which for a number of weeks was in a lockdown situation, and you want to see that happening here in Dublin.
Well, it was, say, classed as a local lockdown. So we could do whatever we wanted to do within the restrictions within our own county. And I can't understand why Dublin hasn't been done, seeing as the COVID cases that are coming out of Dublin are community spread.
Well, not all of them. No.
No, but a high amount of them.
A high amount of them are, yeah.
Yeah. And Kildare, it was more to do with factories. Laois and Offaly as well, but we were left in lockdown longer. It was more to do with the direct provision living and the factories than it was in the community. And nobody had a problem with locking the 3 counties down and keeping Kildare in lockdown. Granted, there's a huge amount of people working in Dublin and living in Kildare, so they were still allowed to go back and forth to Dublin. Sorry, I have a little madam here who just arrived before COVID happened.
Oh, right, okay.
So, but I mean, like, we were able to get on with our lives and do things that we had to do.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you.
Local lockdown, but it brought our figures down.
Okay, so what difference did it make to your life? Because obviously, for those of us outside Kildare, it was. It didn't seem to be too dramatic, was it?
No, I mean, like, I don't really step outside. Like, I can work from home, so that's grand. My kids go to school locally, so that's fine. So everything that we were able to do within our county. The annoying part is we couldn't see our family who live in Dublin, Meath, Wicklow. So we weren't able to see them. But we were able to get on with our normal daily lives. So really it didn't have much of an effect on your day-to-day life.
Right.
What it did have an effect on was the businesses. People weren't going into the local towns and shopping and doing their daily things more than just nipping down to Tesco's or Dunn's or whatever to get their weekly shop. You saw a large amount of people weren't going to do that. But within your own kind of area community, there were still kids out playing. There was still, people going for walks, everything like that. And people that worked outside of Kildare were still able to go outside of Kildare to go to work. What impact it had was we have now seen several pubs that would have been serving food severely struggling now, and they were only about, crawling back onto, and not just pubs, restaurants and everything. But, it was such a shock for them. They had just gotten produce in for the weekend, and fresh produce, and that all had to go to waste. So it was a huge impact on business more than...
Okay, and bearing in mind that here in Dublin there would be much more businesses that could be affected, is it realistic to even talk about having a local lockdown in Dublin?
I think if they looked at the areas that that the cases are in, they would, the government knows, NEFIT knows, whoever, in the HSA. So what,
have a local lockdown in West Dublin or whatever?
It's not like the guards were sitting on every road telling you couldn't leave the county. You just did what you were told to do. And I can't understand what the problem is that, it's okay to lock down 3 counties. Drive through them. We still saw people coming from Dublin down to Kildare by the Kildare town, Kildare village outlet to do shopping. It was incredible to see the non giving a hoot. It actually annoys me so much to talk about that side of things. But I don't see why, Dublin are on a higher plateau than the rest of the country. I do believe that because there was always higher cases in community spread in community cases in Dublin than anywhere else, and that is due to the huge size of the population. But everyone else was able to go on their staycations. Kildare people weren't.
No, and that's true. And in fact,
you can see the spread. But what I'm trying to get to is you can see the spread in the map from 5 weeks ago compared to now.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so you think something should be done in the areas of Dublin that are most affected. John, you believe that part of the problem that we're having at the minute is the amount of people who don't fear this at all?
No, not one bit in the slightest. They don't fear it. I coined that phrase. I didn't even know I could coin it. They can't see it, they can't feel it, they don't fear it. And they don't. And they're going to continue. And nothing that the government does or says they're going to abide by or listen to, because it's been since February. They're the one group of people who haven't listened to anything that's been said, and it's getting bigger and bigger. We've seen the Leaving Cert results there, and it was a block party. They could give a rat's, Adrian, and it doesn't matter. You can lock the city down again; they'll be out. Put fines on parents; they'll be out. I mean,
so what would you like to see being done to bring those numbers back down again?
I don't know what they can do. I mean, if sky's the limit and the guards had the resources that the guards need, then you could have a car on every block where these kind of street parties are happening. But that's not the world we live in. The guards are stretched. They can't be. They can't. Every social media post you see, where's the guards? Where's the guards? If the guards are out trying to fight real crime, they can't be at the side of the road waiting for these kids just to not give a rat's about what's going on in this country.
All right, look, I have to take a quick break, John. Stay there for 1 second. I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. It's 11 o'clock across Dublin. Good morning. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And this is Emma with Wednesday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Good morning. Pubs in Dublin may not open alongside bars in rural Ireland, according to the Taoiseach. Pubs were told yesterday they can trade again on September 21st, but an increase in cases in the capital is causing concern, with restrictions on visiting homes on the cards. A woman reportedly ended up in hospital after she had a firework thrown at her while out walking in Rathfarnham. A local residents' association says she was left with burns to her neck after the incident on Monday. Regional airports are on the brink of collapse, according to the founder of Air Aran. His comments come after Ryanair threatened to close its bases in Cork and Shannon from October to March if the government doesn't relax the restrictions on foreign travel. And millennials are suffering the most from the workplace disruption caused by COVID-19. A new study by Maynooth University has found those aged between 24 and 40 are experiencing higher levels of stress and lower levels of well-being than other generations. And now you're up to date on 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
We'll take just a couple more calls from you on what you would like to see being done to bring the virus numbers back down here in Dublin. You just heard it in the news headlines there. The Taoiseach saying that the wet pubs in Dublin may not reopen on the 21st. The rest of the country, wet pubs may open, but not in Dublin. There's also talk of restricting the visiting people's houses here in Dublin in order to bring the virus numbers down, because most of the outbreaks over the last couple of weeks have been in private houses. Brian sent me this WhatsApp voice note.
Hi Adrian, how you doing? Brian here. Adrian, the rise in cases in Dublin, it is alarming. However, I think we've really done what we needed to do regarding suppressing the virus. We have learned how to shield the vulnerable and the elderly. That's why the deaths are low. We are protecting the vulnerable and the elderly. We need to maintain that. And then the cases will rise because the city is moving again. The schools, pubs, work, shop, everything is back. However, what we've done is we've learned a valuable lesson that can help to shield and protect those who we lost during the main lockdown, which was in general the elderly and the sick. So I think we have to balance that. Thanks, Adrian.
All right, Brian, thanks very much indeed. Cindy, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Cindy.
Hiya, Adrian. I'm just out walking the dog at the moment. I wasn't expecting this call back, but however. I think, I remember Leo Varadkar's words just before he kind of passed over the book to Micheál Martin, and it was more or less said, look, we have told you what to do. We've given you all the tools. Just apply them. That's all you have to do. The three main things that they're banging on about all the time. And I feel no matter what the government does, they're just kind of going around in a circle, because there's a lot of people just not conforming. You have the cohort of people that think there's nothing wrong. This is all just panic. It's all scaremongering. It's just, so that's never going to change. So if each person takes on board, you know what, if I do this, I'm doing this for the greater good. That's all it's about. It's as simple as. And I don't think the lockdowns, you lock down for a while and you're back to normal again, and it's just killing businesses and killing people.
Yeah, I have to say, I think the notion of a lockdown of Dublin is really probably not going to happen unless it really gets dramatic, because a third of our entire economy is in Dublin. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And mortgages, bills to pay, absolutely. But I see it myself. You just spoke about it earlier on. People walking out of stores, just throwing the mask on the ground. Don't care about the person that has to clean that up. It's just you have this cohort of people that, you know what, this won't get me, this doesn't affect me, and they just don't get that one thing a virus is looking for is a host, and it'll do its utmost to get to you. So, if people take that on board, wash their hands, give other people the distance, and be respectful to people. I sound like I'm in the soapbox, but it's really a simple solution to a major problem.
And I think the way we have to adapt to this, and this is what I've been doing ever since the start of this whole thing, at the end of a day, I've said to myself, right, I got through today, and I'm fairly certain I haven't contracted this virus because I haven't been close enough to anybody. And if we all do that...
I agree. Absolutely agree. And I wake up every morning and I say, thank God, feel okay. Do you know what? I'm going to do the same tomorrow. That is protect myself and my family, and just apply what I've applied all along. And you know what? I just say, God forbid, if anything happened and there was a slip-up, it won't be because I didn't try. I did my damnedest.
Absolutely, yep. All right, Cindy, thanks very much indeed. And one last call on this. Robbie, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Robbie.
Okay, Adrian, how are you?
You're one of those that isn't overly concerned.
No, I'm not concerned at all, Adrian, because I can't see anyone dying. There's nobody dying from it.
Well, there was one case yesterday reported.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
One. How many people live in Ireland? One, Adrian. Adrian, this is something that we're all going to have to get used to, we're all going to have to live with. This isn't going away.
I know, but the fear is that if it spreads and continues to spread, vulnerable and elderly people will start getting it again. And
Adrian, this is no disrespect to vulnerable people or elderly people. They are also under threat from the flu. They can die from the flu.
Yeah, but they can get a vaccine for the flu. They can't get a vaccine for this virus.
Yeah, but I'm sure there will be a vaccine for the virus. Like this is
next
year.
Next year.
Have to live with. Adrian, people are getting way overboard scared about this. Way overboard scared. The HSE report was only released, I think it was earlier on this week, and it showed that out of the 1,900 cases of COVID-19 that we had, that included deaths, only 100 of them died from COVID-19 itself. Now, are you telling me
I haven't seen those statistics.
Well, there's a video on Facebook, Adrian, where the two lads have the HSE report. You go and watch it and you can see it. Only 100 people out of all them deaths that were reported from COVID-19 actually died from COVID-19 itself. The rest had all underlying conditions and major underlying conditions.
So you think that we just need to get on with it and let it spread?
As the last caller was saying, wear your mask, wash your hands, and just do the simple things. It's going to spread whether we like it or not. A lockdown, restricted lockdowns, it's not going to stop it. It's not. We went into full lockdown, Adrian, back in March or April, whenever it was. We're at the coming out of lockdown, and it's back. It's not going anywhere. People have to use their heads, wash your hands, wear your mask, do the simple things.
Okay, so what do we do? What do we do with the small percentage of people that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, that aren't playing by the rules?
There's nothing you can do, Adrian. It's like the small percentage of people that are hitting people with fireworks, that are throwing them in the doors. You can't do anything about these people. They're in every society, Adrian. Every society is going to have people who do not care about rules. And a disease or a virus isn't going to change that. You're going to have them everywhere. But that shouldn't change the mindset of people who do care about it. If you care about this and you do not want to catch it, because we all don't want to catch it. It's the same as we don't want to catch the flu. We all know how bad the flu can be. Do the right things. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Be protective of yourself and your family and others around you. But people need to understand that this is here to stay. This isn't going to go. As you said, it's like a fairy tale wanting an island with no COVID-19 in it whatsoever. It's not going to happen. Just like the flu, it's here to stay.
And I agree with you to an extent. It's probably here to stay until we do eventually get a vaccine. But you think that we just need to get on with life and not worry about it, or try and protect ourselves from getting it?
Protect yourself from getting it. I'm not telling people not to worry about it, because everyone's going to worry. We all worry about everything, whether it's the flu or whether it's COVID-19 or whether it's just getting sick in general. Everyone does not want to get sick. But you can't go around living in fear. You can't lock a country down. Like, you'll kill the economy of the country if you start locking it down. Look how long the wet pubs have been closed. Do you think they're really going to be able to survive if you keep them closed?
No, I don't. And I genuinely... And it's not just the pubs. I look at people in the entertainment business, people who run events companies, all of that. Adrian. They're all being drastically hit by this.
And what's going to happen then if they go out of business and they cannot reopen? Where are they going to go then to get money? They're going to go onto the social welfare. They're going to claim week by week, and that's going to cost the government more money.
Okay, so we don't need any further restrictions. We just need to live with this virus and do our best to stop ourselves getting it, basically.
Exactly. We already done a lockdown, Adrian, and cases are going back, 0 cases, 5 cases, 10 cases, come out of lockdown, and we're here again. It's you have to live with it until you have a vaccine, and there's nothing else you can do.
If that fool, says this message, this is aimed at you, Robbie, if that fool is believing what he sees on Facebook and taking it as fact, then he's an idiot and one of those people who will ruin it for everyone. What do you say to that?
The only thing I can say to that is watch the video. You can see the actual HSE document that the guy is holding in his hand. It ain't a false document, it's a real document.
Okay, I'll root that video out after the show
It's a
today.
real genuine HSE document that the guy is holding in his hand, Adrian, that proves that only 100 people out of all the deaths actually died from COVID-19 itself.
By the way,
More people died on any-
I will remind you, Robbie, that a number of months ago at the start of all this, there was a HSE document faked and circulated online. So, people do that sort of stuff.
Adrian, I believe that the virus is here, but I believe what the government are doing to the country, it's not necessary. It is not necessary to be doing it. You're going to put people out of work by the thousands. By the thousands, you're going to put people out of work, and you're going to send us into a major recession like we've never seen before, all because they're afraid.
And I said at the very start of this whole thing, my biggest fear was the effect on the economy and subsequently people's lives as a result of shutting the country down. Anyway, all right, Robbie, thanks very much indeed. An awful lot of you sending me in this document. I haven't seen this. I was away on holidays last week, so I can't even confirm that it is genuine. But this is the Epidemiology of COVID-19 in Ireland report. It's been sent to me on a document here, but I can't verify. It looks fairly genuine now, to be honest. Okay, and here's what it says. The total number of... I'll have to read over this. I'm not going to quote from it because I need to see that it is genuine. We're going to try and find out if that is a genuine document. But it does show that a majority of the people who died, a huge majority of the people who died from COVID-19 had underlying health conditions. Anyway, let's have a listen to a few of your WhatsApp voice notes.
Connor here, love the show. The real worry now, to be perfectly honest with you, is people have just had enough at this stage. You just want to get back to their normal life. That's the worry about it this time round. We've obviously suppressed it before, but the willingness to suppress it now is just not there from a lot of people that I've spoken to, whether it be, not my family have been pretty good, but, just people that I know, that I work with maybe, or that I associate with, I can just kind of get that feeling that they're just not willing to do those things, like distance yourselves from social situations anymore. They need to interact, and that's what's worrying about it. I think everybody is a little bit fed up, but you still have to look at the bigger picture, you know what I mean? It ain't going anywhere until we get a vaccine, so just try and do our bit, I suppose.
All right, and that seems to be what most of us believe, that we all have to look after ourselves now. And as Professor Stein said earlier on, if you walk into a pub that looks too packed, walk back out again. Ray says there's no need for further restrictions.
Adrian, unless every country in the whole world goes into a proper lockdown and shuts all their borders, this isn't going to work. The borders are open, people are coming in from different countries. So you're holding the Irish people captive and not letting them do things and putting all these restrictions on them. But you're going to open the airports and let people fly in left, right and centre. It doesn't make sense at all. Because the coronavirus isn't going to stay in if the Irish people lock themselves away for a month or two. Don't let people into their houses. And they're still going to let people fly in from different countries that could be possibly carrying it. Just doesn't make sense at all.
All right, let's have a listen to a couple more. This is from Sinead.
Morning, guys. I don't think a lockdown... Number one, I don't really think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. Number two, I don't think it can happen either, if I'm honest with you. I know there's an alarming number of cases yesterday, and I know people are worried, and, there's a lot of people that are still quite scared and stuff. But, I mean, realistically, we have to learn to live with this virus because it's not going anywhere. Until there's a vaccine, most likely, it's not going to be gone anywhere. So there needs to be plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds, plan Es, everything put into place by the government. Because you can't close everything down every time there's a huge number of cases, because it's just not feasible for the economy, number one, and number two, for people's mental health. And number three, let's be honest, people are just not going to conform to them. to these rules and regulations anymore. People are sick to the back teeth of living in lockdown and everything else. And I understand, you know, there's a virus out there and we should be doing this and we should be doing that. But, you know, life has to go on. People have to get back to work. People, you know, the kids have to go to school. You can't close everything every time there's a big number of cases, as I said. Like, we have to learn to live with this virus. And we have to learn to live with this virus, with schools staying open, pubs staying open, restaurants staying open, businesses staying open, because it's not going anywhere. Sorry, I can't come on, guys, because I'm in work.
All right, Sinead, thank you very much indeed. And finally, Ruth.
Hi Adrian, I live on the Meath-Kildare border. There was never a lockdown. They're talking the biggest load of nonsense. Everyone was going shopping to Maynooth and everywhere. It may have happened around the Timahoe area because there's not a lot in it. But kids were still going to school. That man's 100%. We may learn to live with it.
Okay, and that seems to be what most of you are saying. We need to learn to live with it. We'll have to wait and see. The Taoiseach, as we said earlier on, he says that the wet pubs here in Dublin may not reopen on the 21st. The rest of the country may reopen, but Dublin may not reopen. Well, the pubs in Dublin. I hope that doesn't happen for the publican's sake, and hopefully over the next 2 weeks we can get those case numbers right back down again, and life can get back to normal. You're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy. We're with you until midday today, and we've still a lot to get through. Oh, by the way, we have our parenting slot coming up a little bit later on, and we'll be joined on the programme by Joanna Fortune. And if you've any questions, parenting questions that you want to put to Joanna, send me a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Now, we were talking about the mental health impact that this whole life that we've been leading for the last number of months has had on everybody. And yesterday, I got this message from a lady called Gemma, and I want to read it to you, and I want to find out, I want to get your opinions on this. Please change my name if you decide to discuss my email on your shows. We have changed her name. We're going to call her Gemma. I am with my current boyfriend a year and a half now, and it was great at the start. But in the last 8 months, it has been very challenging, to say the least. He suffers with mental health issues, anxiety and depression, and has done for many years. He told me this when we first got together. He gets these episodes, which he calls flare-ups, of extreme depression and anxiety, and they can be very dark days. When he has one of these flare-ups, as he calls them, it can be so tough to deal with as his partner. We've had to cancel weekends away and special occasions because of his anxiety. In January, I had to attend a friend's wedding alone because he couldn't face it on the day. Don't get me wrong, I do love him to bits, but I feel that I really need to consider my own mental health and my own future here, because this is all having an effect on me too. My own family members have urged me to leave him before I get into this relationship any deeper. And I do see their point. But would that be selfish of me? I just want a normal, happy relationship like everyone else seems to have. Have any of your listeners been in this situation? If so, how do they deal with it? Should I put my own happiness first, or would that be selfish? Would walking away from him when he needs me most be cruel and inhumane? And that's from a lady called Gemma. And I'd love to hear from you on 6797981. You can text, you can WhatsApp, or you can send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. And let me know, what should she do? Stick it out? Or leave him? She's only with him a year and a half. They're not married, they're not engaged, they're just in a relationship. But it's having a severe impact on her as well. Call me now on 6797981. And Antoinette, I'll take your call straight after the break.
The sound of the city from Coolock to Cabinteely. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
So, Gemma's message I read out to you. She's with her boyfriend a year and a half, and the bottom line is he suffers with mental health issues, anxiety and depression, and it is now having a direct impact on her and her life. And she wants to know, basically, should she stick it out? Antoinette, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Antoinette.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
You've sadly been there, done that, worn the T-shirt.
Yeah, worn the T-shirt. Oh, God. I obviously went through what that girl is going through now, and to be honest with you, my heart does go out for it. It is hard. It is hard. You know what I mean? It's a hard life to live, but personally myself, there's no way on this planet I could have walked away from him. You know, I loved him to pieces.
So you were in that same situation within the first year and a half of your relationship. You were living or sharing a life with somebody who had mental health issues.
Yeah.
And that ultimately ended in him taking his own life.
Yeah. 5 years ago tomorrow.
5 years ago tomorrow. Oh my God.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong, we had great time. We are like obviously it was up and down, but when he was in a good place, we had great days. I mean, our kids here, like, you know what I mean, kids never wanted for anything. He'd bend over backwards to help them, even with his mental health problem. Like, he went to work. But obviously then on times like that, his mental health would hit the floor. He'd obviously have to come out and go say whatever.
Sorry, Antoinette, I hate cutting across you, but the quality of your phone line is really bad. It keeps dropping out. I'm going to get Katie to call you straight back, and we'll see if we can get you on a clearer line, if that's okay. And I hate cutting across on a conversation like that, but it's very, very difficult to hear her. Sarah, you've heard Gemma's message, and you've heard Gemma, after a year and a half, wondering whether she should stay with her boyfriend, who she says she loves to bits. Your partner also has mental health issues, and you stuck by him for 12 years.
Hey, hi, Adrian. Yeah, I have, and I will continue to do the same thing. He's my absolute best friend.
Which is lovely to hear.
Yeah. The way I feel sorry for anybody in the situation, and if they're feeling in a way, I don't want to say trapped or anything like that, and you feel like you can't get out, it's hard, but you kind of have to look at a bigger picture at the end of the day, really, on those type of things. And like, I've been through some really, really bad times and things with my partner. I don't want to name him. I know he's listening, and I know he doesn't mind me talking about him, really, but just for himself, you know.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, I've been through so much, and like, it's mad. It's like you go to that, but then you get such happy times. And like, I'll even say now, 12 years down the line, his medication seems to be working. He seems to be talking to the right counsellors. It seems to be going more on an up than more of a down. So when that's good, that's good. And I just hope that it can go like that. I've always said to him, I'm realistic. You'll never be cured of your mental health. You will always have it. You just need to learn how to manage it. That's what it is. And I've always said to him, no matter what. And he told me from like the time we met up before we actually became like boyfriend, girlfriend, he made me aware of it. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to judge him over this. And I just came to realization, there's the side of you, and then your other side is actually your mental health issues. And I love that you, and your mental health just comes with you. And that's the only way I can get through this. And the only thing, like, I can't remember her name now. It's the girl who sent in.
Oh, Gemma. Well, we've called her Gemma. That's not actually her name. Yeah.
Well, Gemma. And I've had friends, I've had some family members asking why I'm with him. Would I not leave him? And my answer was always like, no. Like, unless there was an actual reason, I'd never, like, not to use mental health as a reason to leave somebody. He would have had to have done something. for, you know, to legitimately end the relationship. And he's never done anything like that, you know. So
okay, but where this lady is coming from, and she mentions it, we've had to cancel weekends away, special occasions. In January, I had to attend a friend's wedding alone because he just couldn't face it on the day. And that's after only a year and a half. They're only together a year and a half.
No, I'm not, like, I've had that since, like, the beginning. Like, we got together, like, a few months before his 21st, so then mine was 6 months later. He couldn't come to mine. He couldn't come to a couple of family events. And, like, this is going over, like, the space of 6-7 years. He just, and, like, my family got used to it and they understood with his mental health, you know. They wouldn't be like, oh, is he not coming? Like, but there'd be people who didn't understand. They'd be like, oh, where is he? Where is he? And I just have to brush it off and say, oh, he's busy. Something's come up. I just make an excuse because it was just easier than me being interrogated by somebody over. It's none of your business at the end of the day, like, if he's here or not here, like. But if he could come to something, he would. We've had to cancel things. And, like,
so knowing that woman is listening to us now, what would you say to her? Stick it out if you love him that much?
If you love him that much, stick it out. Like that, you're saying he's having bad days, but if he's having good days and he treats you absolutely great and he makes up for those bad days, you know, like, he realises that. And as well, you have to be, and I've realised this, you have to be blunt and honest and talk about your emotions. Don't walk around eggshells with them at all. Like, you just need to be, like, they need to know where you're coming from. They can't just be, like, having their bad time and believing you're still going to be there. And in the middle of their worst moment, you go, sorry, I can't do this. Like, I've had friends who suffer with depression, who girlfriends have done that to them. And they nearly don't come back from it. So, it's not that you want to put a guilt on anybody saying, oh, you can't leave them. But, like, I'd even say about mine is that if he's realised as time has gone on and he's made up for it, if we've had to cancel whatever or not been able to go on a date, he's brought me, like, tenfold on a better whatever we would have done, you know. So I'm not saying, oh, he makes, like, you know, I'm making excuses or anything, but I just feel like I don't have a bad relationship. I feel like I have a great relationship.
And in terms of... okay, obviously you're with him 12 years, so you have stuck it out. Did you ever have thoughts like Gemma?
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. There was sometimes, I think there was one time near the beginning, like, or about a year or so in, and he literally, like, disappeared for like a month. Didn't want to talk, call, anything. And that was extremely hard. And I could have just said, you know what, feck this, I'm just going to throw the towel in. But I waited and I gave him a space. I did text whenever I needed to text, and that was me being, like, you know, I have to be selfish here. But then after that, he kind of, you know, came around and everything was fine. And then if something else had happened, like, there would have been times when I was like, oh, I don't know. But then I'd kind of go, well, would I not? How would I feel if he wasn't in my life? I'd always ask that question.
So that's the question that she needs to ask herself. If she says she loves him to bits, and if she does love him to bits, she has to think, well, what would life be like without him? All right, that's good advice, Sarah. Antoinette, have we got you back on a clear line?
Well, I hope it's clear.
Oh, it's not, unfortunately.
Is it now?
Oh, well, have you now?
So, okay, I'll stay in this spot.
Okay. Antoinette, Gemma is having these thoughts about whether or not she should stick out this relationship with the guy that she loves to bits. Did you ever have those thoughts?
Yes. All the time, to be quite honest with you. But,
Antoinette, I'm really sorry. I would love to continue that conversation. The line is really, really bad. I'm sorry. Let me go to Rebecca. You're on 98 FM. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi there. I can't stay on for too long now.
Okay.
I'm just on my break from work. I kind of disagree. I think if it's affecting her mental health, she's obviously realised that, and that's a brave thing to realise, and it's a courageous thing to speak out about it. I don't think she's being selfish at all, considering walking away. sometimes people have to be on their own to get right, and no matter what Gemma does.
We've heard from two women who did stick by their partner with mental health difficulties. Antoinette, the lady with the bad phone line there, it ended tragically for her in that he eventually took his own life. And
I know, and I do. I honestly feel for those ladies. I've been in the situation myself as well, and over time in those situations, I've learned that you can't be a support to somebody else if you're not right in yourself. If it's beginning to affect you. Like, I don't mean she should walk away and leave him forever, but maybe a temporary pause might get her back centred and get her back right, in order to be able to support him more. I think people saying, now I'm talking about what I've seen on Facebook, people saying that she doesn't love him if she's considering walking away.
Well, you've heard from those other two women.
The opposite.
Yep. You've heard from those other two women who did stick it out, but also had those same thoughts, had those exact same thoughts of walking away. Yeah.
So I think it's a personal decision.
You believe that she has to put herself first, and if it's bringing her down, if it's affecting her mental health and her quality of life, then she needs to put herself first.
Absolutely, and if he's being codependent on her for his emotional stability, then he's never going to get right. And I don't like a temporary walk away, and she's obviously seeking support for herself. Therefore, she's probably going to seek support for him. She's probably not going to just walk away and leave him high and dry, but she may need to just walk away temporarily to get herself right and to be able to support him better and to be able to realise the love. Like, sometimes you need to be on your own and out of that sort of chaotic environment, to get back to yourself, to be able to remember what you love about that person again.
And I do think that advice of, think about what would life be like without him before you make any decision, and that will kind of show how much she truly loves him. Let me have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note from Tara.
Hi Adrian, just listening to Gemma's call there. I'm the daughter of somebody who had bipolar, and my dad stayed with my mum for 23 years, which was really difficult. We had great times, and I could hear the caller saying that. But I think sometimes you need to think of yourself as well. I remember when my mum and dad finally split up, and I asked my dad why it had taken him so long, and he felt that he needed to make sure that myself and my younger brother were old enough to be able to take care of ourselves and to look after ourselves, if it was the case. Now, I lost my mum in 2014 to kidney failure, which was a direct result of the medication that she was on. But I can understand from both sides of the argument, where one, you don't want to leave somebody because you love them so much, but on the other hand, for your own mental health and your own welfare, having lived through that for most of my life, I wouldn't knock somebody for saying, do you know what, it's too much for me and I have to walk away. I have to say it's a great issue that you've raised, because I don't think a lot of people realise how many people out there are with mental difficulties and how difficult it is to try and live a life, and how it affects the people around you. So well done, Adrian. Take care.
All right, Tara, thank you very much indeed. Now, Keith, you've been in a relationship for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
With somebody with mental health issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
She suffered from anxiety, depression, self-harm and bulimia.
And did you know this from the start?
Actually, I didn't know it at the start. We actually originally met on Tinder. And it was fine at the start. I knew she self-harmed, but then I only found out a year and a half into a relationship that she had been bulimic, and she hadn't told me. I only found out after she had a really bad episode of it. But it actually stemmed from her own mother's mental health issues.
And how have you coped with it? You're together 4 years. Has it been difficult for you?
Yeah, it's been difficult for me, but at the end of the day, if you love the person, you do anything for them. And I've helped her through so much, but then she's also helped me. Like, I've only after completing my thesis there, but she put so much effort into helping me get through it. And it's just like those things that she does so much for me, but then I just help her as well. It kind of works that way.
But one of the things that Gemma says in her message to us is that her family, and she's thinking it herself, have urged her to leave him before she gets any more into this relationship, any deeper into this relationship, any more committed in the relationship.
Well, if it's a year and a half in, it's still pretty committed. Like, it's either get in or get out now, because I'm in the 4 years, but I don't regret it at all. I love her to bits. Like,
but did you ever have those thoughts yourself of?
Yeah, I had at the beginning, but then you have to realise that what would life be like without them, and can you see that your life without them? That's what you have to think. If you can live without them, then there's no point. But if you can't, then stay with them and be with them and help them through, because at the end of the day, they can get better. And what could life be with them when they can get better? Can it be better? Can it be worse? We don't know, and that's the chance.
And the one thing that she actually doesn't explain in her message is whether or not he's actually receiving treatment or if he's on medication. She doesn't actually go into that, and I'd be interested to know if he is. Eamon sent me this WhatsApp voice note.
Hi Adrian, it's Eamon here. Yeah, my advice to that girl is don't run away. Don't walk away. Run away as fast as you can, as quick as you can, and go find someone you can be happy with. Cheers, thanks.
Right, it's fairly blunt. And one final call on this, and that's you, Philip. You're on 98 FM. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. Thanks. Eamon's last message there is extremely blunt. You cannot make that kind of an assumption on anybody without the actual background. Now, what I was going to say here is, like, what is the issue that this gentleman is having? Is he depressed because of infidelity occurring? Is he depressed because of a death in the family? Is he depressed because he's bipolar? They all have to be attacked.
And as I said, the one thing that she doesn't mention in her email to us is whether or not he's receiving any sort of treatment for his issues. And I'd be interested to know whether or not he is, if he's actually, proactively trying to do something about this.
Well, I'm going to talk in general terms about people in their late 20s, early 30s now that are increasing a serious spike of depression and anxiety, got to do with work and got to do with the economy of the country and everything. On that basis alone, there's people that will get in general, they could have three months of the year where they go severely depressed. And I don't think if you're a year and a half into a relationship and somebody hits that you should leave them. I think it's different if somebody has an infidelity issue and they can't let it go, and that they will not get over it, and you're the other person and you're trying to work through with them, and they will not let things go and drop things. And at that point you may need to walk away. But somebody who's just experiencing depression and anxiety, who's maybe, not that bad with it, but that's there. If it's inconveniencing you and you can't give them that time, well, where's the humanity in the world? Like, at what point do you sacrifice yourself and put away your selfishness to try and help somebody?
Okay, so it's selfish of her to even be thinking this way?
No, it depends. If it's breaking her down as well, if it's killing her, if she's trying her best and there's nothing that she can do, and she's actually trying everything, and she's trying to get him up and out, trying to get him active, helping him with his medication, and it's actually killing her inside, and she may need to walk away. And unfortunately she may have to come and say, well, look, I can't be very unhappy in my life just to keep somebody else.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are saying, that she needs to put her own mental health first if it's starting to damage her mental health. And let me just play one final message from Melissa.
Hi, it's Melissa. I just think that if she loves him, that maybe she could give it a try and be there for him, and try and help him get through. But if she's not that strong, maybe it's probably be worse having two people in the same situation. So it's a hard one, all right. I kind of understand, because I've got two teenage children gone back to school, and they're very, very anxious, and it's very hard to deal with, and it kind of takes a toll. But you have to be very, very strong. Okay, thank you, bye.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you all of you for your calls. Unfortunately, I don't have more time to commit to this because we do have our parenting slot coming up in a moment. But if you are affected or have been affected or are being affected by any of the issues we've been talking about, there is always help available, and the number for the Samaritans is 116123. 116123. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. Now, on the way after the break, our new weekly parenting slot. And if you've any questions that you'd like to put to our parenting expert, you can WhatsApp us right now, 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. If you've a question that you'd like to put to Joanna Fortune on our parenting slot, which is next.
98 FM's Parent Talk with Super Value Home Delivery. Get your lunchbox fillers sorted with Super Value Online Shopping.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. It's time for our new weekly feature on the programme, 98 FM's Parent Talk, where we every week talk to Joanna Fortune, a parenting expert. And we put different questions to her. And we invite you to submit your questions. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. If you have any questions that you'd like us to put to our psychotherapist and author, Joanna Fortune. She's the author of 15-Minute Parenting. Joanna, just before we put the first question to you, tell me a little bit about 15-Minute Parenting.
Hi, Adrian.
How are you?
15-Minute Parenting is, a series of books. There's 3 in the series. The third one for parenting teenagers actually is coming out on October 23rd. But what I'm looking at is, over the body of my work, I think the most common thing I heard from busy working parents was, by the time I've done this, 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 and this, I'm lucky if I have 15-minute window before it's time to battle everyone into bed. What can you do in 15 minutes? And from that, I developed a series of activities and mindful play that you could do in 15 minutes a day that would make a difference. The message being that if you do something, even if it's small, but you do it every day, you're predictable. And if you're predictable, you're safe, and then it's a secure connection with your child. So it's better to do something small but daily than do 2 hours of play on a Monday and nothing till the following Sunday.
Okay, right. So 15-Minute Parenting, I assume it's available in all good bookstores? And
absolutely, online
yep,
and in all formats, yeah.
Okay, now let's go to our first question. This is one that was sent in to us earlier on today from one of our listeners on a WhatsApp voice note. So let's have a listen to this.
Hi, I have a 6-year-old daughter and I'm just kind of at my wit's end, to be honest, because she is such a fussy eater and she will not eat anything other than potato waffles. So I put all sorts of different food in front of her to see if she'd just try it for me, and she won't. She refuses, absolutely refuses. And I mean, she can't live on potato waffles. It's not good for her, and I just really don't know what to do. How do I get her onto other foods? Does anyone have any advice?
It's a problem many parents have, that child who is common. Such a fussy eater.
Yeah, and I say this as a grown-up who was a terrible fussy eater as a child myself, so I can kind of feel it from both sides of this. I think one of the things, from my angle, look, if you feel, and I think it's really important to start with, if you feel that her weight she's underweight, if you feel that she really doesn't have the energy to get through her day, that, she's very tired, lethargic, that she isn't getting through her day, that at 6 she's still needing naps, things like that, and you feel it's to do with she's not getting enough nutrition or calories or food, go and see, through your GP, would make a referral to a pediatric dietitian who would be able to assess and give you very structural nutritional food advice on that. From my side of things, the emotional part of it, I really like to encourage parents to try avoid an emotional charge around food. Food, like fussy eating and toileting are 2 of the things that I probably come across most when people are having parenting challenges. And largely it's about control, because our children live in a world world where they have very little control over much of what happens for them, but they do have control over what goes in and out of their bodies. So they tend to locate some of their own frustration or their defenses or some emotional charge around the food. I'm not eating what you want me to eat. You can't make me do it. And you know what? They're right. Because as soon as you get into that battle, it's about this power exchange. And now food has become a battleground, when food ideally in a family should be a social exchange. It should be something that we all gather around. We talk about our day, we share stories, and food is there to fuel us to get through our day. Yes, there's a social aspect, but it also has a very practical, functional operation in our day-to-day lives. When we begin to use food emotionally, we run the risk of incentivizing behaviour and emotions with food. You know, like if your child is acting up, you might say to them, even if you're whispering it, if you stop, I will give you a chocolate bar back in the car. If you don't do this, you can have that. If you don't eat your dinner, you can't have dessert. We use food, but we tend to use particular types of food to incentivize behaviour in children. We don't incentivize them with broccoli or cauliflower. We incentivize them with chocolate or crisps or ice cream, you know, sweet, sugary food. So from younger ages, we are already teaching them there is a hierarchy to food. There's the good stuff, the bad stuff, and the stuff you really want but shouldn't have, which makes you want it all the more. We teach them that when you're feeling sad, have a biscuit, you'll be better. If you're feeling happy, let's celebrate with cake. We tell them that food has this emotional function. So then when you have a child who won't eat or is being very limited or controlled in what they eat, it can feel as a parent like they're rejecting our bid to nurture them. I'm preparing this food. I put a lot of thought into it. I've, followed all of these, food bloggers for children. I've cooked this salt-free, sugar-free, delicious meal, and you've just said, no thanks, I'll have frozen potato waffles.
Okay, so there are ways of getting around a child and trying to encourage them to eat better.
Yeah, I think if they're generally eating enough that they are able to get through their day, if they have that energy, if they are of a healthy weight, then I would tend to say don't make it a battle. If you're anyway concerned about their physical health, do go and see somebody about that. Okay. Outside of that, just to make it interesting, I might suggest the teaspoon test there, that if you put a teaspoon of something new, anything you like, vegetable, whatever you want it to be. Don't put it touching any food. Just put it beside the plate. And there's no fanfare. Everybody gets one. And you pick it up and you try it and you go, and you get on with your meal. You're modelling that it's just try something. You don't have to eat it. Don't throw a party if she does eat it. And don't get devastated if she doesn't. Make an invitation to try new food and new textures there. Be playful with it so that everybody does it and you're not spotlighting her. And just then, as she's 6, you can also say, I'm a little bit worried you're not eating enough to get through your day. Can we make a list of 5 foods that you'll eat? Let's agree them together.
Okay. All right. Now, one final question to put to you, Joanna, and I have to be fairly brief with this one.
Okay.
My wife constantly uses baby words when talking to our 1-year-old. I keep telling her that it'll damage her learning of English.
So look, there's research out there that says yes, and there's more research that says no. Some of the biggest studies and the more recent ones would say that baby talk actually enhances language rather than hindering it. And to keep this really quick, just right now, if everybody was to look out the window and say the sentence, look at that bird. Now imagine you're saying it to a 1-year-old and imagine you're saying it to an adult. Okay? So what you're going to notice is that the prosody, the musical tone of your voice changes when you're speaking to children. That kind of pitch, pace, pause, tone, upward, downward, musicality, that playfulness in your tone of how you say it. That's what engages children. And when children are engaged with you, they're looking at the shape and the sounds that are coming out your mouth. How do you shape it? They're staying connected and they're learning because that's playful and engaging. So I would say do a mix of this, okay? Don't be kind of saying don't do birdies or doggies or, whatever way you do it. But make sure that what you're doing is using a variety of words, that you're speaking slowly, you're carefully pronouncing it, and you're really using musicality in your voice because that's how they learn language. As your child picks up a word, let them use that word and you don't keep using the baby tone. But what is called is infant-directed speech. So if they make a sound, you mirror it back. If they say ba, you say ba, and then you say ba, ba, ball. And you introduce a word with that sound for them. And you build their vocabulary gradually like that.
Okay,
and
so in answer to this guy's message, you aren't necessarily doing harm talking baby talk to your baby.
No, nor is he doing harm by not doing it, to be honest. It's
Okay.
about how you say it.
All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Joanna Fortune, I look forward to talking to you again next Wednesday morning on our our parenting parent talk. And thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
There you go. That is Joanna Fortune, and she'll be back with us next week. And if you have a question that you'd like to put to her, and there are a number that have come in, and unfortunately we just didn't have time, I will put those questions to her next week. And if you have a question that you'd like to put to her, you can do the same. That's it from us for today. Thank you for listening. We're back again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.